Yo guys, what's going on? It's your boy Zero here, back at it again with another Naruto Stormford video. And to kick off the new year, I'm starting off with how to use shurikens. I'm gonna go through every single options you can do with shurikens and what you can't do with shurikens. Alright, to start off this video, let's talk about shurikens during neutral. The most common thing you can do with shurikens during neutral is using the jump shuriken, which is good for zoning. When you throw a shuriken, you are completely vulnerable to anything. So mind the spacing between your opponents and don't throw shurikens too much because you're basically leaving yourself wide open. Throwing shurikens from afar is good for harassing your opponents and is a good option to bait your opponents to dash you. The ninja move Chakra Shuriken is also a viable move if you want to be more fancy with it. Next, we have the air dash shuriken. So basically, to do an air dash shuriken, you have to do a regular ninja dash. To do a regular ninja dash, you basically double tap X in rapid succession. Then your character will do a jump and then he'll go forward automatically. In general, it's a move that you shouldn't really use too often because you're basically dashing really slowly towards your opponent. But what makes this good is because if you combine it with the shuriken, you get the air dash shuriken. So it gives you a little bit more air time and it's good for closing in on your opponents. You can do this with either shuriken and with a chakra shuriken. By timing it correctly, you can either end up in front of your opponent or behind your opponent. It's based on your timing and how far you are from your opponent. Next up, we got my favorite move. This is the ninja move Shuriken, and it's used to basically propel your character in order to dodge attacks. For example, you can use the ninja move Shuriken to dodge jutsus, dashes, and projectiles. While usually using the ninja move by itself to dodge attacks is a viable thing, using the ninja move Shuriken, it's better because you're propelling your character dodge more incoming attacks that you couldn't before. For example, doing this move makes it easier to guarantee a dodge from jutsus that track you. For example, like Darui's Laser Circus, Gaara's Sand Shower, and Hashirama's Shuriken Jutsu. This is a really good move to use during neutral for getting some distance away from your opponent. For example, you can do a double jump in the air and jump over your opponent that way. You can also use this move to run away from your opponent, but don't do it too often because it's highly punishable. Another thing you can do with shurikens and chakra shurikens, depending on the character, your shurikens and chakra shurikens have different properties to them. For example, Gaara's chakra shuriken has like a little delay behind it, but it does a decent amount of stun. Pain's chakra shuriken is probably the fastest one in the game, really good for harassing your opponents like from across the screen. Characters like Konan, Sai, and the 4th Kazekage have chakra shurikens that cause massive stuns. So you can use their chakra shurikens to begin a combo or to restart a combo other than, canceling your combo with a dash. During neutral, chakra shurikens can be used to chip away at your opponent's HP, kill some supports, and stop your opponent from awakening. It's important to make use of your character's chakra shurikens and shurikens because they all have different properties depending on the character. Alright, so now we're going to talk about shurikens during offense. You gotta use the jump shuriken entry. What I mean by the jump shuriken entry is basically you're jumping forward and you're throwing a shuriken. This is also effective against bunny hoppers because they're hopping and they're blocking. If you jump and throw a shuriken, the shuriken will hit them when they're at the highest peak of their jump, and then when they fall back down to the ground, you can catch them on their landing frames because they're gonna be negative. You can use the kunai shuriken entry plus your support for more added pressure. It could lead to forcing your opponent to block everything. After the shuriken hits, the jutsu from your support comes afterwards, they're going to be blocking all that, so you can begin attacking them when they're blocking. Or another favorable outcome is that they can sub the initial shuriken when you're jumping and throwing the shuriken at them, and then your support jutsu is going to hit them afterwards, so they're going to be subbing the kunai and taking a jutsu to the face. So adding on to this, if you have a cover fire support on your team, you can go ahead and do the kunai shuriken entry, but you have to use the chakra kunai so that the cover fire support will come out and basically toss their shuriken with you. And this is good depending on the cover fire support that you have. So some really good cover fire supports are Tamari. She's easily the best cover fire support. She's borderline broken. Deidara is also a good cover fire support. He does a lot of stun. But yes, if you've got a cover fire support on your side, be sure to use them. toss some Chakra Shurikens at them for some added damage. Next, I'm going to teach you guys how to combo plus Chakra Shuriken into a guard break. So this method really only works for characters that have Chakra Shurikens and not Chakra Kunais. Sorry for people that use Chakra Kunais like Kakashi, this won't work for you. So you're going to do a few hits of the combo on your opponent's guard, then you're going to Chakra Dash, and then bounce off the guard. And as soon as your character bounces off their guard, you toss the Chakra Shuriken. This will almost guarantee a guard break, or at least do a lot of guard damage. It doesn't even matter if your opponent's guard is on blue, this method will work. Alright, now we're going to talk about using shurikens to reset the game back to neutral. Alright, so you're comboing your opponent and you're looking at your resources and they're quite low. You might want to think to yourself, it's time to get back to neutral, so that the subs can come back, or that maybe you can get your supports back, or maybe you'd want to charge some more chakra because you're at a disadvantage compared to your opponent. This is what you're going to have to do. Alright, so while you're comboing your opponent, use the ninja move Shuriken to go back to reset the game back to neutral. Effectively, I'm asking you to back away from your opponent using the ninja move Shuriken. However, if the opponent subs the kunai during your ninja move Shurikens, they will most likely always sub in the same spot, but mid-air, where then they will try to punish you with an air chakra dash, which you can then counter to reset the game back to neutral. Another way to do this is while you're comboing them to use the hollow step tossing a kunai to reset the game back to neutral. Once again, if the opponent subs the kunai, they're gonna sub mid-air and they're most likely gonna try to air dash you. But this time you're gonna have more options. You're gonna be safe to do a ninja move, block, counter, or parry. Alright, next I'm gonna teach you guys how to use shurikens to prevent an awakening. So remember this, the best way to fight an awakening is to not fight the awakening at all. What I mean by this is prevent your opponent from awakening. And using kunais to harass your enemies is the perfect way to do it. You have to always be aware of your opponent's HP, because when it drops down to a certain amount, they're gonna have their awakening gauge active. So be ready to kunai harass your enemies as soon as the HP drops low enough to awaken. If you see them attempt to awaken, harass them with kunai and chakra kunais. And remember, some characters have faster chakra kunais than others. Capitalize on that. Whereas if you have like a regular character that's throwing like kunais and chakra kunais, that shit's not gonna stop them unless you're a bit closer. If your opponents are trying to awaken and they have a charge guard support on their side, most chakra kunais and shurikens will not be able to hit them and stop them from awakening. Unless you're having characters like Minato or Conan that have chakra kunais that can curve around the charge support guard. Another way to stop your opponent from awakening with the charge guard support, you can chakra dash into their support character that's doing the charge guard, and then immediately throw chakra shuriken as soon as you bounce off them. This method also works if your opponent has a dash cut on their side as well. You can also use the leader dash in conjunction with kunais and chakra kunais to deal with a charge guard support to stop your opponent from awakening. Alright, on to the last thing, shurikens against awakenings. Once your opponent has awakened, your kunai will have no physical effect whatsoever. Any sort of kunai or chakra kunai will be repelled upon impact. The only thing you can do with shurikens against awakenings is to use them as a movement tool in order to bait chakra dashes. So essentially, you can bait an air dash by using the ninja move shuriken while airborne. This is effective for wasting their awakening time, or this is also helpful if you're low on subs and you need time for them to recover. You can also use the ninja move shuriken when you're on the ground to bait a chakra dash into a counter. This will also waste their awakening time and give you more time to recover your subs. And last but not least, if your opponent has a giant awakening, then there's nothing you can do with shurikens to gain any sort of advantage. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I really appreciate it. If you guys like the video, please, give the video a thumbs up, and please let me know what you thought of the video in the comment section below. And if you're new, please subscribe. I plan on making more Naruto content this year. Thank you guys.